If you're looking to set any goals or ambitions or resolutions for yourself over the coming weeks, months, and year ahead, I've got some great information for you you might want to take note of before you go any further. It's a well-known fact nowadays that only a tiny, tiny percentage of people actually achieve what they set out to. Most people, given a few weeks or so at most, the however well-intentioned these ideas just tend to fall by the wayside. In fact, there's a bit of a joke at my practitioner academy where people often say to me, "Surely January must be a great time for new clients." I said, "Well, it can be, but actually, most people in January are full of hope and enthusiasm for something new. It's more the end of the month when they start seeking help. That's when we tend to get a bigger influx of inquiries and people asking for our help." So to help you avoid that, I'm going to share with you 4 ideas here that I came across many, many years ago. And if you can follow these ideas, they will greatly enhance your chances of having different experiences this year than last year, which is essentially what New Year's resolutions or all year resolutions are about. Now, these are not my ideas. I came across these in some teachings from many, many years ago. I'll explain what that is later on. Let's get on the first one now to give you an idea of how to think differently about any goals you're going to set for yourself, ambitions you have for this year, and rather than New Year resolutions, think of them more as all year resolutions. So the first one, I'm going to read them to you. I will approve of myself, my characteristics, my abilities, my likes and dislikes, my inclinations and disinclinations, realizing that these form my unique individuality. They are given me for a reason. Okay, so this first one's really, really important. It's essentially saying accept yourself. When you can accept yourself and love yourself for who you are, that's the absolute foundation of everything, really. If we can't accept ourselves and love ourselves for who we are, very often we end up trying to do things to try and get that externally, and that always backfires. So the first thing, the absolute key essential idea for you to adopt going forward is to approve of yourself, love yourself, accept yourself, even those things you think are not so great. What I would suggest is think in terms of discernment rather than judgment. Judgment says this is good or bad or good or evil. Discernment says I prefer this to that. All right. So accepting yourself, approving of yourself, and maybe there's a preference of things you'd like to change in some way. That's okay. But let go of judgment, just accepting yourself as you are at the moment. Number 2, I will approve of and rejoice in my accomplishments, and I will be as vigorous in listing these, as rigorous in remembering them, as I have ever been in remembering and enumerating my failures or lacks of accomplishment. All right, this is really important because so many of us are quite harsh on ourselves. We'll see the bad, we'll see the failings, we'll see the things we haven't done, and we'll focus on those. Or, we could have many, many successes, but that one little thing that's a slight downfall or criticism in some way, we'll tend to see that as the all-important one. So this idea says it's important to give equal credit to anything where you have done well or achieved in any way, shape or form. And that may just be you made it through another month or you made it through another year or whatever it is. So learn to focus on those things you have done as well as the things you haven't, and be appreciative of those and be grateful for those. They will dramatically increase your positive psychology, by the way, as well. Number 3. Now this is where we tend to move up a level. These ideas essentially came from the work of Jane Roberts and the Seth material, which is a vast body of material which is incredibly mind expanding. Too much to go into here. But this number 3 idea says, I will remember the creative framework of existence in which I have my being. Therefore, the possibilities, potentials, seeming miracles, and joyful spontaneity of framework 2, to mention in a moment, that's limitless potential outside of the moment, will be in my mind, so that the doors to creative living are open. All right? Now, if we see ourselves as a purely physical being, just making our way around in a physical world, that gives us a very limited way of thinking. However, if we can be aware of the discoveries in the quantum world and quantum physics, and one of the key theories there says that consciousness forms matter, that consciousness brings into vibration the atoms which make up the molecules and the building blocks of this universe. So everything we see as being solid and real actually is held together by consciousness, and this is pretty standard quantum physics theory. So if you can begin to think of yourself not so much as a physical object in a physical world, but actually a consciousness in a very creative world with many possibilities available to you, then anytime you can step back into that level of focus and come from that place, it tends to open up more possibilities to you, and more creative ways of thinking and being and experience in life can tend to come your way. Right? That's a whole topic worthy of a discussion itself, but I'll refer back to that in just a moment for you. Let's go to the fourth one first of all. Number 4, I will realise that the future is a probability. In terms of ordinary experience, nothing exists there yet. It is a virgin territory, planted by my feelings and thoughts in the present. Therefore, I will plant accomplishments and successes, and I will do this by remembering that nothing can exist in the future that I do not want to be there. Okay? That can sound quite controversial, first of all, especially if you think of so many of the difficult situations we find ourselves in. Nothing exists in the future that I do not want to be there. That's quite a profound statement. But again, it comes from the idea that life doesn't just happen to us, that at the level of our consciousness, in some way or other, we have an influence over the events that happen to us. We may not be able to control what's going on in the world around us, but if we place our focus on what we want to feel and the accomplishments and positive feelings we'd like to experience, in some way or other, life will be able to dish more of those up to us than if we focus on fear, uncertainty, and dread, for example. So these topics can sound quite esoteric, but actually they have a very practical basis. Now, put these 4 things in order. Approving of yourself, loving yourself, accepting yourself, approving of yourself exactly as you are. Being approving and rigorous in recognizing your accomplishments as well as any perceived failings or lack. Number 3, realizing you live in a creative universe, a creative world, shall we say. And number 4, you have the ability to influence those experiences that come your way. Right? And that may be reminding you of what you already know for some of you. That may be completely new ideas for others. But put these ideas together and use these as all your resolutions, so we say. Be kind and loving and accepting of yourself. Be as rigorous in remembering your accomplishments as well as anywhere where you feel you haven't done so. Remembering that you are a creative person, a creative being in a creative universe. And when you can tap into that level of consciousness within yourself, then many more creative opportunities become available to you. And number 4, remember that your future is not yet written. It's virgin territory. Most of us have a future that is really a repeat of our past, because we're just repeating beliefs from our past, playing themselves out again. So anytime we can step out of what we have been believing, stop wishful thinking and start focusing on how we want to feel instead, and give ourselves the beliefs and ideas to support that and back that up, then the future can begin to be different for us. And by the way, this doesn't mean we just sit around visualizing and wishful thinking all day long. Sometimes I joke that it doesn't matter how much visualization you do. If you want to cycle from A to B, at some point you've got to get on a bike and start pedaling, right? But these ideas will start setting more positive intentions for you. And the intention you have as you do anything has a huge impact on the outcome of it. All right, so hopefully these are useful for you. Many thanks to the Jane Robertson, the Seth material, for providing these. This is where I came across them many years ago. Any questions, any comments, leave a note below. And if you enjoy this kind of material, then please do like and subscribe, because I have plenty more ideas to share with you on how to help you reduce fear, uncertainty, doubt in your life, and create more peace, more happiness, more success, more enjoyment, more excitement, and have a more value-fulfilled life.